What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bogey Proof. It is the fourth and final major of the year, Open Championship week at St. Andrews. Pretty special week we have ahead of us here. But before we do that, Mikey, where are you calling from? What are you sipping on?
Yeah, calling in from Chicago. We're just at the point where we're cleaning out the fridge, right? And I feel like I haven't gotten past that point. It's just been a year of like being at grad school, not wanting to like buy nice bottles of things, knowing that like then I'm gonna have to fucking move it, whatever. But we're at the point where it's like, all right, well, I'm just like finishing what's in the fridge. This Bud Light iced tea seltzer nonsense raspberry has probably been in Elizabeth's fridge for a year. We classed it up, put on a little ice, wine glass, solid color. That's all I can say from Bud Light. Tastes but if we reload back to
just back to the call.
When's the last time you had a black cherry White Claw? Because I don't think I've had one in a year either. So we're kind of in a little transitory period here. We're going to get rid of some stuff, but ready to chat a little links golf. And in my opinion, the most fun you can have. I mean, is there anything better than waking up, having a cup of coffee and watching golf? Like there's really nothing better. So
I cannot wait for coffee golf this week. It is by far my favorite part. It's why the Open as a championship honestly might rank higher than like the Masters for like the viewing experience of it all. Like the Masters is like far and away like probably my favorite tournament as a whole, just with the history behind all that. But like nothing gets me more jacked up than the Open. Just like that early coffee golf, it's the best thing in the world. I'll be up bright and early Thursday and Friday, 4 a.m. Like tee times are out now, so maybe closer to 5 because Rory and JT are like right around 5 a.m. on Thursday. Yeah. Tiger's in the late side, so I'm sure he'll be about the same time when they flip that for Friday morning. Okay. So gonna get up and watch those guys play golf because that is by far my favorite thing. But calling in from Newington, Connecticut, I just have water. I got a little company outing tomorrow, so I'm probably gonna be having a few beers there. And then all of a sudden I got league night Thursday. Don't need to start my drinking week on a Tuesday if I'm gonna be drinking Wednesday and Thursday. So just water for tonight. The whoops got me making some pretty good decisions these days because it's just like holds me a little bit more accountable.
Yep.
But before we get into everything St. Andrews, can't talk links golf without talking about the Scottish Open last week. Just the firm, the fast. It's just a nice little way to kind of ease your way into, especially the way they're talking about St. Andrews this week, what we're going to see for the Open Championship. Did you get a chance to watch any of the Scottish Open? What were your thoughts?
Yeah. Got to watch quite a bit on the weekend. Obviously, kind of was following Thursday and Friday. Big kind of, big thing to hit the news, right, was the way they set up the golf course on Friday after kind of Thursday, everyone in the morning wave going super low, and then like 3 people shooting under par in the afternoon Thursday, then setting it up easy the opposite way and not really kind of compounding that the luck of the draw, which we've talked about a bunch on this podcast. But and they talked a lot about how Renaissance isn't really like a true links, and maybe not, but really I think the players got like a good understanding of what they're going to be up for at St. Andrews. We have whether it be the pop bunkers, just the firm and fast conditions like you're talking about, or just like being on the water and having to deal with crosswinds and severe headwinds and things like that. So much fun to watch. Love when those guys, are playing 40 feet from a hole and it becomes, hey, where do I want to land this ball? As opposed to, and then just being like, let God take it, right? And like, hopefully it ends up by the hole as opposed to like just sending it in the air and having it stop by. But saw a lot of good stuff, things I'm going to kind of put in the back of my head as I make some picks if we get a chance to talk about it today, or kind of as I do them on my own here before they tee off early Thursday morning. But just there seems to be a leveling of the playing field in the middle. Like I think the best players in the world I would expect to play well this week at St. Andrews. But like what I think Links Golf tells us, and if you go look at that leaderboard, is like the really good European tour players, or like the people that know how to play links golf, like that they find themselves like maybe not in the hunt, but really good finishes. So I think that's what I'm kind of on the lookout for. Like, what's the value on the betting side, or like who maybe is a links player that we don't think about on a weekly basis, but like, they know how to play. And we're probably going to see their name, in one of the final groups. And, I think I'm always on the search for like, who am I like not going to be surprised that plays well, that like the general public maybe has no idea who is. Like,
Right.
I think that's kind of fun looking through, but yeah, just excited. They get so creative out there. And I think this younger generation also loves links golf, or at least like maybe they've been brought up by their golf psychologist to like say they like links
Yeah.
golf
Yeah.
and like say they love the challenge and
Mhm.
and everything that comes with it. I don't know what to believe there. um but I think the best of the best kind of have shown a love for links golf, and that makes me excited as well.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point with that kind of middle of the pack. Because like you said, the top 10, 15, 20 guys in the world, they're so elite in their skills and ability and mental game that you could put them on a golf course on the moon and they're going to rise to the top, right? Like it doesn't make a difference when you're as elite as that top tier is. But it's really interesting that middle to like, if we're doing 1, 2, 3 tiers, at second and third tier there, like they get that gap tightens quite a bit. And I think what it does is it like, if you're in that middle tier, like maybe you're a really good ball striker, but your mental game, you don't like kind of have that wrapped up, or the creativity or whatever, or there's like one specific spot of your game that's a little bit weakness, or that stuff, or your ball striking, things like that aren't as strong, but you think your way a golf course and you plot your way around beautifully.
Perfect for links
Links,
golf, yeah.
the links levels that out a lot more than an American golf course does, of like how soft it is. Cause like the end of the day in America, it's everything's a carry number. You got to hit your spots. You're hitting it to, the size of the desk I'm sitting at right now. Like you're just trying to hit that window. And if it's either you do or you don't. If you don't, you're in a bunker, you're in the rough, whatever. And you can only do so much with that. If you do, you're going to make birdies like without a question. Links golf is not that straightforward. There's like, a million different strategies, angles, and like ways to get the objective completed at links golf because of the turf they play on, with how it can be played on the ground, firm, fast. I mean, watching practice rounds and stuff like this week, like Tiger, JT, all these guys, they're walking around greens with a 4-iron, a pitching wedge, a lob wedge, and a putter. And they're around there, a 30-yard circle around the green, using all of them. And all of them like are an option, right? Depending on the pin, the wind that day, all those different things. So it's like the guys that may not hit it as well as some of the like guys that hit it much better but don't think their way around the golf course, that in America they get away with that, because at the end of the day, if you just hit the shots at the soft, like all carry, kind of parkland golf that we're used to, you're going to rise above the guy that just isn't hitting the golf shots, right? If you're out there fanning it around, like eventually that's going to catch up to you. You can manage it for a round or two, but like eventually you're just not going to make enough birdies to keep up on the PGA Tour. Where in the links, like you can, if you're hitting the driver like shit, you can just chase a 3-iron around out there all day and be fine. We're like in America, that's usually not the case in these parkland courses, because there's forced carries. There's, the ball's not rolling out for you. So you're going to be hitting another 3-iron in or something like that with how they set up American golf courses.
I mean, you watch Xander play that final like 12 holes. He was shaky off the tee everywhere. He was hooking it left. He was in the high grass. And it's just like at that point, it's like, do you get yourself a lie that you can chase? Mm-hmm. And then it's a matter of like just managing your golf ball in that way.
But I hit iron off the last hole. He's like, the driver's been shaky. I can hit a 3-iron and then a 7-iron and still get on this 450-yard hole because of how firm it is. And if it doesn't chase all the way up, I'll make a 5 from that front of the green versus, hitting in the high stuff and being done, And it's just, I think that's the beauty of links golf, is that you can't avoid the golf management and thought process side of it. Yeah. Like you can't just like kind of black out and just be striping it and just like pin your ears back and go get it like you can in the parkland, like softer golf courses, carry, whatever, more receptive greens, thicker rough, whatever, all those different things that kind of stop the golf ball from rolling around on you.
Yep.
At the links, like where it's the bunkering off the fairways, the angles into pins and like things like that to avoid pop bunkers in front of the greens due to the firmness, because you're usually rolling stuff up. Like you have to take into consideration that like that angles, the strategies, like just hitting the fairway doesn't mean it's necessarily a good shot, right? Like, or if you hit a good one and you pull it 5 yards, you were probably better off pushing it 5 yards or something like that to avoid that pop bunker that's 320 yards out that you're going to roll right into now and have to go sideways out of. Like links just keeps you mentally so engaged every shot, every step of the way. Like, we were in Ireland last summer, and I can just remember some of the courses were just like Jurassic Park stuff, like Ballybunion, like that's like totally different world. But like I think of like a Port Marnock or even like Royal Dublin or even Waterville, especially Waterville off the tee,
Yeah.
like you knew the bunkers were there, and it's like you had to like either say I'm gonna miss it like on the sides, or I can't hit or I have to club down to make sure I don't reach it. And like that's something where in American golf, like, or Parkland golf, I should say, because it happens in other places in Europe too. But like, it's usually like, okay, the fairways are this tight. There's a tree on the left or a tree on the right. I either have to work my way around that, or just like hit the 3-wood and just hit it to the corner instead of trying to work it around a dog leg. Versus like, I feel like on some of those links places, we could have hit pretty much every club was a path to success, but like you had to pick one, commit to it, and be like, okay, I'm staying left of those bunkers, or I'm going, short of those bunkers with a 3-iron or something. Like it's just like always engaging, and you have no control of your ball once it's on the ground. And like until you're used to it, like you don't really realize how far out those things roll out. Like you'll see a bunker 300 yards out, and it's like, I never hit the ball 300. All of a sudden you hit a driver 270 yards and it lands in the fairway, rolls all the way through into that bunker, like things of that nature. That I just like, links golf is just like that on steroids, and like constantly thinking, strategizing, game planning.
Yeah, I think, right, the stuff that we see here in America, like maybe around the greens on very difficult firm courses, right? Go down to Pinehurst, go down these like elite level courses that are firm and fast turf. Like you maybe get that creativity around the greens with kind of runoff areas, but that is the entire golf course, right? At links, right? You're thinking about runoff areas. Hey, yeah, I can fly this bunker, but if it hits on the back of this bunker and hits the note, like, this knob, it's going to get kicked further right. And like, yeah, sometimes that's good. And that kind of accomplishes what you're trying to go for, right? The pin's on the left side. This is the only way I can get on the right side of the fairway. But then times where like, hey, you just made a great golf shot and you like hit it on your line, but because you didn't calculate the number in your head properly and you didn't factor in that knob, now you're in the high grass and you got nothing, right? So like, I think I probably and not that we've played a ton, but like in my time of playing links golf, or even just maybe let's extrapolate it to like really firm and fast golf courses, I think you got to take this path of like, how can I hit a good golf shot here and ensure that it doesn't get into trouble, right? And I think we'll see that a lot this week if it continues to be firm and fast and the wind is moving, keeps it firm out there, and we don't get too much rain. We're gonna see the 290 yard 3-iron everywhere, and we're gonna see JT and Tiger cutting it into slopes to knock off yardage and things like that. So just really excited for the nuance of what links golf is. And I think back on some holes that we played at like Ballybunion. Yeah, it's like Jurassic Park, but like I could go and search for 10 years and not hit some of the shots I had to hit, over the course of 18 holes there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to get your opinion. This isn't really links golf, but how much did you follow kind of the Pro-Am at Adair? I wasn't like super tuned in. So were they showing it on TV? Were they showing it on Golf Channel? Were they kind of showing like just highlights?
You could get it, I think, through Peacock, was then getting it through Sky Sports kind of deal, because they have kind of they have a deal with that, because like NBC wasn't over there to do it themselves. So I think they were like, we'll put your stuff on Peacock kind of. I don't know the logistics, but I was able to watch a little bit of it on Peacock. And I mean, it's awesome. The course looks mint as it did when we were there.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a Pro-Am, so they're not, letting it get too firm or too crazy out there with, the celebrity amateurs and et cetera that are playing in it. But the pros, I think, had their way with it pretty well. Kind of like, as we talked about when we, talked about that Ireland trip, like it's not the links firm, fast, pop bunkery stuff that you think of when you think of an Open Championship in Scotland or Ireland. But definitely is a great golf course in its own right. I mean, like I was watching like that short par 4 along the moat there, whatever that is, surrounding the castle. Like that short little guy, it's like, it was like 285 from the tees we played it at.
Yeah.
Like they played it a little bit longer, but they were able to like cut drives into that and then stay and like hold the green, and like it was just soft enough around there where they could kind of go and get it, which again, it's a pro am, so they have to do that, otherwise their AMs will be out there forever. But I am hoping that, come Ryder Cup in, 3-4 years now, like they firm that out a little bit, just to make that like, if you land anything up here and it starts spinning the wrong way, like nothing's stopping it from going in the water, kind of stuff, just to make it a little more tough. But I definitely think that at the end of the day, like they're all out there as like kind of a scouting trip. If you think about the players that played in that, like Xander, Tiger, Rory, Scotty Scheffler, like Spieth, like all those guys, like they're going to be involved in that Ryder Cup one way or the other. Like Tiger will probably be a captain or something at that point, but like Rory's still going to be a stalwart, and like Jordan, Scotty, all these guys. So they're all out there to scout it out. And, it was awesome to see that after playing it and stuff like that, and see some of those shots that they do, but they still make it look so easy. But it was just impressive just to see, like, see how they put it on a little bit bigger of a scale,
Yeah.
But yeah, hoping they firm it out a little bit come, the true golf being played there.
Yeah, and it's just a little difficult it was just a little, when I was out there playing, right, and it was kind of an eerie day that we went out there because there wasn't a lot of people on the golf course, right? There was the big hurling match later, and I don't think it was very difficult for me to kind of picture the Ryder Cup there.
Yeah.
Because it was just such an expansive piece of property. So I don't know. I think when we kind of see it on the grand scale and we see a little more excitement from the fans, right? And we see kind of this pro-am, who knows if it's going to, it's been continuously run, but like, if we're seeing this and we're seeing the excitement and we're seeing that many people go and play it in 2022, what does that look like in 23, 24, 25, right? As the course continues to evolve, I think, right? Like JP McManus, who owns the place too, like, I think this for him is a way for him to get feedback from professional golfers about the golf course, what it's like, what they dislike, right? And like just ensuring that like that experience for both players, spectators, and just like everybody involved in the Ryder Cup is top notch. I mean, I think it's genius, right? Like showcase it for 2 days, right? So they probably showed up, played a practice round, and then 2 days, or like, played 9 holes and then played 2 days. Like, it is the perfect, hey, like, hide it from everybody else, show it to the public for 2 or 3 days, and then, you don't get to see it again. It's very like Augusta-ish, right? No one can get there unless like you have access to it. I mean, obviously you can play and, pay a serious fee to do it, but the world kind of seeing it 2 or 3 days a year leading up to the Ryder Cup, I think is just gonna intensify kind of that excitement for it as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point you bring up too, of like, show it to these guys that are going to absolutely be involved in some capacity in that Ryder Cup, like get some feedback, especially like a guy like Rory, right? Like he's probably the most important European golfer in a long time. Like you don't want him to be like, it's okay, like leading up to the Ryder Cup, right? Like you want him to love that course, talk it up, get the buzz going, whatever. So let him see it 5 years in advance and give you time to tweak a couple things if that's what he thinks is necessary, right? Like, I think it's just the best way to go about it, 100%. But it's exciting.
And side note too, like I don't think guys like Rory McIlroy, who obviously are from Ireland but have now moved to Florida, and when they go home, I don't think like he's going to spend time with his family in Northern Ireland. He's not like traversing like Ireland playing their best golf courses. And what does he go do? He goes and plays with Tiger, at Ballybunion, and then comes up and plays in like or whatever. So I think like some of those connections, right? Like maybe if this doesn't go on, maybe Rory doesn't do that, and maybe we don't get some content of Rory and Tiger playing Ballybunion. Probably don't, right? Probably do it under secrecy.
Yeah, it brings them down to the Shannon Airport in that little like southwest corner of Ireland where, that's the farthest point you could be from Scotland if you're in Ireland, right? So like they're not going to be down there. Otherwise, they're not taking that trip. I don't think if they don't need to, because there's plenty of places in Scotland they could play. But because they're down there, like Scotty, Sam Burns, all those guys, then they go play Ballybunion, they go play Lahinch, they go play Tralee, they go play Port Marnock on the way home from stopping in Dublin on the way. I saw Scheffler and like Harold Varner the third and a couple other guys play there. Like you get to see them play these just historic and like well-known like Ireland links golf courses, even if they're not in the Scottish Open, right? A lot of these guys weren't. Like they go do that and just kind of like, hey, let's just get acclimated here. Like, so we're not like completely out of sorts when we show up to, St. Andrews, because you already know you're going to have so much going on that week with it being the 150th Open Championship and, Tiger's first time playing since the PGA and like, the live stuff going on. Like you're going to have so much shit going on when you're at St. Andrews for that week that like, you don't want to have to like do any extra work than you already are going to plan on doing, right? You got to conserve some energy, things of that nature. So get out there a week early, go have a little bit more of a like exhibition style friendly nature, but like still get acclimated to the link style a little bit without like grinding too much. Go back, recoup for a few days and then head over to the old course like a day or two early and get some, walk around. Cause right now they get late sunsets, like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night over there. So get over there a couple of days before and just walk it, like get out there, hit some chip shots or whatever. Don't exert yourself too much, but get the extra time and energy kind of into that.
How does Tiger look to you?
It didn't look great the first like couple of videos I saw when he was there, like Sunday and like even yesterday, or no, I don't know, whatever, Saturday, Sunday, whatever his first 2 days at St. Andrews property was with JT, and he had that like peachish color shirt on with the black pants. Didn't love what I saw there. Like it looked a little stiff and like a lot of arms in the swing. Like the lower body wasn't like really helping him a lot. But then I watched shout out to the Opens YouTube channel. They have like these awesome little shorts that they've been doing this week where like they showed him and JT's 9-hole practice session from Sunday. They showed that like celebration of the champs thing. Like they showed him, Rory, Lee Trevino, and Georgia Hall's group for like, it's just 10-minute little shorts that were like awesome. But he looked so much better in that celebration of the champions thing. Like both walking and the swing looked like everything was a lot more working together and in sync, where the day before it looked like his back was kind of like not keeping up with the upper half of the body. You can see like that kind of lower follow through for him with the driver of him just like making sure he covers it and doesn't just completely leave it over on the right. So it didn't look great at the beginning of the week, but it seems like he's kind of getting a little more feel each and every day, whether it's just like a little less travel and a little more like rest and physio stuff or whatever he's doing. I don't know, but he seems a little bit more comfortable and like, I don't know if strength's the right word, but the body just seems to be a little bit more in sync each day as it goes by. I didn't get to see too much today of his round. I know he was out there practicing again today, but I didn't get to see much of it on any social media or whatever like that. But I'd assume he's going to be ready to go Thursday. I don't think he'd be walking as many practice rounds as he did if he wasn't feeling good, because he's walked like 54 holes already at St. Andrews, plus, like the other golf we're talking about along the way. So I don't think he pushed it. He's put so much energy and commitment into this week. He's not going to push it. He knows better than anybody else where his body's at and like how to conserve energy for a major and what it's going to require for him to compete. There's no way he's going to get rid of all that energy too early in the week. He's just not that stupid. He's played there. He's won there twice. He's played there a bunch of times. Like he doesn't need the extra reps if his body's not going to be able to handle it, kind of thing. So he knows, I think he knows what he's doing. And honestly, if we want to get right into St. Andrews now, like the way they're talking about this week, like I can't wait, because they are saying it is like burnt, like crispy. It's going to be brown out there, like things rolling hundreds and hundreds of yards. Tiger's driving like a lot of the greens out there, and like it's pretty short out there on a lot of the fours, but like it's not like Rory's driving them all, like you expect Rory to, but even Tiger's getting there on a few of them. He drove it over 18 the other day. So I think it's going to be like a lot of irons off the tees for guys that want to do so. Like Tiger's probably going to do a lot of, and I think if a guy like Jordan Spieth too, like probably would be good for him to just hit like a little like back foot that little driving iron and hit a little bleeder up there and just like keep the thing on the planet, like, I don't know, I'm excited. I just think it's obviously special at St. Andrews always being the home of golf, the like St. Andrews University, the town, like that venue is just like, you can't beat it. The road hole. You add the fact that it's the 150th. Now you get all that history and like all these different things going on. It's shaping up to be like an incredible week at St. Andrews.
I agree. I'm super excited. I just, I don't know if I'm hoping for it, but I think it would be absolutely, it would just be really interesting to watch if it gets so firm and fast, right? That like we have Rory hitting 3-wood on 18 because he's worried about hitting it out of bounds over the green.
Yeah.
Right. Like that could be really fun, but a couple quick, like, rapid fire questions for you. All right. You get an opportunity. You're out there watching the Open. Who are kind of the three players that you're watching, and right now in the field, right? You get, and don't worry about who's playing with who, but like maybe give me, well, I'll give you Tiger Woods. Who are the other two people that you think would just be a blast to watch links golf out there?
I think of if we get the win going, I think of a guy like Jordan or Cam Smith and just like the creativity with the irons as well as around the greens. Like whether it's the short par fours that they're kind of up and around off the tee or like the par fives, or even if the wind kicks up and they're missing greens, like seeing those guys hit chip shots off of like the short grass that's around there, right? Like out of the rough, it's like they're all hitting the same thing. It's like either a chop it out or like open it up and swing through it and throw it up in the air. But like the short grass, like seeing guys hit like 6 irons into the hill or hybrids or 3-woods, putting it from 40 yards short, like shit like that, I think is awesome and really exciting, like to watch how they like just those feels that stuff requires.
Mm-hmm.
And those two I feel like are some of the best in the game with like whatever's in their hand around the greens. Like I just think they have like the best hands, like with the chipping and the putting and kind of creativity aspect of it. So I'd love to watch those two guys go around. And then I'd like to watch a guy like I don't know, like obviously Tiger would take off the list, Rory will take off the list, but like maybe a guy like Scheffler, like with that kind of that trappy little slice driving iron he hits out there a lot of times, like seeing him work his way around a golf course. Like I don't think of him as like an elite driver of the golf ball. It's certainly like proficient, like it's good, but like I don't think of him like a Rory where it's like, okay, he's just gonna bomb it all over. So it's like I think for him, it's like I feel like he might hit a lot of those irons just to keep himself like play conservative and just let his short game kind of take over, because he's got another one of those elite short games, obviously winning 4 or 5 times this year, whatever it's already been. I'd like to see him. And then, I mean, for shits and giggles, I'd like to see what Bryson DeChambeau does at a place like this. Like how many drivers does he even hit if it's just firm and fast and the ball's going, rolling out 60, 70 yards? Like you said, he's gonna be hitting driver out of bounds on some holes, like even if he hits a straight one. So it's like, what does he do at a place like this? He hits 7-iron all over the place. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who would you want to see out there? That's an interesting take. There's a lot of ways you can go with that.
I think I'm really excited. Even I think kind of, top tier players. I think to your point about like Bryce, or to your point about like Scheffler being a very good, very serviceable driver. John Rahm, I still think is such an impressive driver of the golf ball, and he hits it low and he hits it hard. I would like to watch him this week. I think he's due to maybe break through and win a tournament. We haven't seen the best from him. And I also am just like intrigued by these like young American ball strikers, right? Like Zalatoris, Morikawa, like not really known for playing in the wind per se, but like been absolutely spectacular in the majors since they came on the scene, right? Like, and I think does putting in the difficult wind, does that like exacerbate, Willie Z's struggles, or like does that like even the playing field? No one makes putts this week, right? And now, he's probably the best ball striker on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Does he hit 65 greens this week and make 20 birdies?
Yeah, I think those two would be really interesting to watch, because Colin kind of got exposed at the Players this year with that wind. Obviously, that wind was like super ridiculous, but like he did not like answer that question. Like he did not pass that test at all. So I would like to see him in a little bit of conditions. He played decent at the U.S. Open, had a really bad Saturday and kind of ejected, but like played good on Sunday to get back in the mix. But I'd like to see if he can because last year was probably one of the most like calm weather Open championships we've had in a while, and he just ball stroked his way around that place and took over. So I'd be interested to see if say we get 30 miles an hour one of these days, 35 miles an hour, and you have no choice but to keep the ball on the ground. Like, can he like flight a, and it like flight a 6.5 4-iron comfortably and like know the numbers he's hitting? Because I don't think he does that a lot, right? Like he hits it so good, he'll just take an extra club or two and kind of hit it through it to an effect. But like when it gets over 30 miles an hour, you just can't do that. So I'd like to see what he does in the wind, and I'd like to see Zalatoris' putting stroke on slower greens, like and with the wind in play too. Like there's nothing around these, like it's such a flat area, right? There's nothing to block the wind. So like you see the wind impact putting more in an Open Championship than anywhere else in the world. So if the greens are only rolling at a 10 and it's blowing 30 miles an hour in his face and he's got a 3-foot little curler kind of thing, like I don't know if you can like kind of magic wand that thing in. Like you have to hit that with some purpose, and like you can kind of do the magic wand and hit it off the toe like he's been doing when they're really fast, because you're just hitting like a dead ball, and it's as long as you start on the line, it's going to get there. You're going to leave them short if you do it at the Open, like so like some putters are going to get exposed this week if they like don't have the confidence to just like put some speed on it and hit it. Because I think Morikawa answered that question last year and was like, he was getting talked of a lot of like being like not the best putter in the world, a little bit inconsistent, misses shorties. But I think some guys can get freed up when the greens are slower because you're not afraid to hit it hard. And you're only gonna have 3 feet coming back versus some of the greens in the PGA Tour. And I talked about this on the gambling lab tonight too. Like if you're on the PGA Tour and your greens are 12, 13, whatever, and you have a half a downhill putt from 3 or 4 feet, you hit it with any pace, you got 8 feet coming back. So it's like, you're not going to do that, right? You're going to try to hit the soft one, and that really exposes your stroke. Where if you are only on a 10 and you can hit it with some pace at the back of the hole and like not worry about the 3-footer coming back because it's only 3 feet, not 8, like maybe you're a little more aggressive and you see a couple go in and you can kind of get out there and going. But those two are very much kind of known for being like what no laying up guys calls like dome golfers, right? Like you put them on a range on a TrackMan or even at courses with no conditions, like not many people are going to beat them. They're very, very good at like hitting the ball and knowing their numbers, whatever. Let's see what they can do in the conditions and on like not so perfect greens and things of that nature. Cause I think that's another like interesting question that links golf in the Open Championship asks people.
Yeah. I don't know. And I think we'll get in, we'll finish a couple rapid fire and then we'll maybe get into kind of some people we're watching this week. Cause I think there's some people that showed some form last week. Also that I think could be exciting. Obviously guys like Fitzpatrick who won the US Open, but another kind of, pick your poison of sorts. Both are great options. You get one of these to walk around the St. Andrews this week. You're out there watching players, whatever. You either can have an Irish coffee or a Guinness. What are you going for?
I'm out there the whole day, or just like I can pick the time of day. Because if it's, if I'm out there for the first guy at 6:30 in the morning, I don't know if we can have a Guinness yet because I'll be asleep by noon. But I don't think anything will be better than like kind of fighting some wind and elements out there and just having a nice crisp Guinness, like as I'm walking around with, whatever group, or if I'm posting up behind one of the greens and seeing how these guys play all these different shots on like the road hole or 18 or something like that, like that. I mean, that's the ideal experience, but if I'm out there at 6:30 in the morning, I'll have to go Irish coffee.
Yeah, I like both options. Obviously, not a Scottish, so if we think, right, if we think Scotland.
I don't really know what Scottish booze is, to be honest.
Scotch? I don't know.
I don't know. I tried looking it up, like what is
Johnny
like
Walker
Scottish beer. I was like, I was getting like a lot of like weird shit out of it. So
yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. I just can't imagine a cooler experience than being there for the week this week and watching the practice rounds and just hanging around St. Andrews, the town.
Yeah, exactly. Week. Yeah.
Every single person you encounter is an absolute golf nut that's there right now.
Absolutely. I can't think of anything better. It's like it's the college town vibes, but everybody's a golf nut that goes like is in that town, especially this week. Like forget what what the comparison was, but it was like the Open Championship or like I don't know, Liverpool match, something like that, like another big European event. And they're like Open Championship like by 15 times over, like whatever, like just the crowds and the buzz of it and everything like that. So especially for the 150th, like there's just so much history here. I mean, like 150 years ago is a long time. It's what, like 1872 or something like that, right? Like 1872, they played an Open Championship, and like, and within a few years played one at like this same golf course you're playing in 2022. So it's pretty wild when you think about like that aspect of it alone, like never mind like, you know, just the Tiger and the field and things of that nature that are playing like this week and like what it means and everything like that. But it's just, like I said, there's nothing better than Open Championship. There's nothing better than the coffee golf, getting up early, you know, getting on the laptop and like kind of fake working, but like watching golf for 4 hours before you really have to do anything with your day. Like you can't beat it. It's just the best.
That yellow leaderboard,
yellow with the red and the blue, whether they're, it hits different every single year. Again, I think it is like my favorite tournament that is like, I really like it, really close with Augusta, like way closer than it ever used to be, just because I think the nuance of it and it being different every year kind of helps keep it like really fresh. And especially we missed a year of it. And I think that built up a little like kind of desire for it for me. But it's the best. And I really hope that, you know, the weather looks like it's going to be a little bit like not dull, but like consistent this week. I'm hoping something rolls through where they get a totally different wind one of the days. So you can see like that beauty of links golf of like going 3-iron wedge one day and driver 6-iron the next at the same exact hole from the same exact tees. Like that's the kind of beauty of links golf, that like that intricacy, that like how much it can change and be a different course like day after day. So I'm hoping that either the forecast is a little bit off or it changes where we get to see like it play a few different ways and these guys don't just pin their ears back and shoot like 20 under or something like that, because that's very possible if the conditions aren't up out here because of how short it plays.
Reading the conditions right now. So practice rounds relatively similar actually to the actual tournament. So good, bad, whatever the case may be. Players should be relatively prepared for championship, you know, come Thursday morning. But to your point, like very consistent. We're getting like high of mid 60s, low mid 50s with, you know, 10, 15 miles per hour and a few gusts, you know, Thursday and Friday. That's smelling to me. We might get a 64, but we also, if those winds are on, if we get more gusts at 25, you know, then 2 unders are really good at score. But like, you know, so I think we're going to have kind of the variability of the, you know, what time you're going off there. Love the first tee start. Just everyone going off first tee march all day long. But there's talking about a change in the wind, continually dry conditions over the weekend. So, you know, a completely different golf course when it comes to links golf. So that could be fun, you know, some additional added further complexities as the Open Championship has described it on their website. So it's going to be a blast. I cannot wait. As you're penciling in some of your, go for it, but I was just going to kind of get your ideas on a couple picks this week.
Yeah, I was going to ask you the same, but I think so. I'm intrigued. Not that I'm going to make this as like a formal pick, but I do think Tiger will play a little bit better here than he showed in the previous 2 majors, just due to he's not going to fall behind in the length category this week and have to hit 6 irons while people are hitting 8-iron, 9 irons, etc. Like everybody's going to be hitting from very similar spots off, like on their approach shots on a majority of the holes. I mean, on the par 5s, when they do take the driver out, he'll be behind a few guys and whatever, but like so much of the detail goes into the angles and like kind of like we're talking about like the managing your game around there and making sure you set yourself up with the proper angles, and like it turns into chess a little bit versus the checkers of golf kind of deal. Yep. He's the best that's ever been at that, right? Like he'll manage his game to a T, like he showed at Augusta, making the cut and whatever. So not that I expect him to win, because I think that's just ridiculous. And I mean, I would love it, but that's not going to happen. But I do think he'll be like much more in the mix this week, given it's an easier walk. It seems like it's not going to get too cold where his body's going to be like, you know, stuck in neutral. And the fact that he'll be able to hit a lot of irons off tees and just get a rhythm going and not have to lash drivers at 600-yard par fives and 500-yard par fours and things of that nature. It'll be much more of like a plotting chess match, and I'll trust him in that all day long. So confident that he'll have a better showing, and I'm hoping for that. But my guy to win, I think you kind of referred to it a little bit earlier. I think Rahm, like, he's just such an elite driver of the ball, and I think at a place like St. Andrews or most links places, it's more about accuracy than distance due to how firm and fast it is. But you have to like map it out and make sure you're hitting it where you have room to hit driver or whatever. So he's so good at driving the ball that I think he'll be able to pull it maybe 1 or 2 times more than some other guys and hit his spot with it, or, and like he'll avoid that one bad one or whatever, where you get that death pop bunker and you make a double or whatever. Like I'm very confident in his abilities, that like the driver will be a complete asset to him, and he doesn't really have any weaknesses. He's a hot putter away from kind of getting things going again, it seems like, because the putter's been a little cold for him this year compared to, the incredible golf he played last year. So I think I like Rahm a lot this week, just with how well-rounded his game is. And like, he's going to be he's such an elite driver of the golf ball and just ball striker in general, that I think it's going to be just a matter of the putter cooperating with him, and he'll be like off to the races. Who do you like this week?
Yeah, I like those picks. I'm kind of a little all over the map, looking at a couple things I wrote down. Like, to your point of like picking Rahm, like I have a hard time going outside the top 10 this week. I think the best of the best, especially in kind of tough conditions. And to that point, I think I'm going probably the 2 hottest players in the world, Matt Fitzpatrick and Xander. Like I think Matt Fitzpatrick played great last week in the bad side of the draw, right?
Okay.
Like I think he might have finished first place in the bad side of the draw, actually. So I really like him this week. Value with, you don't hear the word value in Morikawa very often, but plus 300 for a top 10 and plus 600 for a top 5 for a guy who has like 5 top 5s and 9 major championships.
Yeah.
That's pretty good value, or like 4 top 5s and like maybe like 6 top 10s and an open championship. That right there, that's probably where I'd be putting a significant amount of my money if I had to put it. Inspiring stuff from Tommy Fleetwood last week.
It looked a lot better, and he's
It
another
looked
guy.
good. It looked good. Yeah.
He's another guy that he's an iron player. So like, again, if he doesn't feel comfortable with the driver, he can chase a 3-iron down there and still be fine. And I think that like keeps him in a much better rhythm than like playing places where you got to hit driver and then all of a sudden he hits a shitty one. Like I think that puts him in a good spot too. And like you said, it first time in a while he kind of showed a little bit of a sign of life, and it looked solid. That the iron play was crispy last week. I was watching him kind of flight some and do some things that Scottish Open. I was like, that could play. That'll play at St. Andrews. I like him a lot this week as kind of certainly like a value play of just whether it's a top 20 or something like that. Cause I think he'll have a good week this week for sure.
Yeah. And then I think like maybe some people off the radar, I think I mentioned it before. I think there's always good value in finding a couple of European Tour players who were playing really well. Jordan Smith played well last week. Had some crazy thing about like the 17th hole, right? He played the 17th hole in like 7 shots.
Yeah.
Par 3.
He went 3, or he went 2, 2, 2, 1.
Yeah. So like him, Ryan Fox has won on the European Tour this year. Absolutely murders the ball. If you watch him, he looks like a fucking strong man playing golf. And then I don't know. There's so many guys on the European Tour. Like John Catlin's won. He won an Irish Open. He's a US guy that's kind of made a living over there on the European Tour. Like I think you can go and you can look at people who have played well on the European Tour this week, and like inherently, because there's so many exemptions based off like European and Asian Tour, the field is like, it's strong, but it's not spectacular by any means.
Yeah.
So there's these guys that are the stalwarts on the European Tour. Like there's good value. They play in these types of conditions. I'd be looking there a little bit as well. Yeah, but Ryan Fox, I really like Ryan Fox this week. I don't know what's coming to me, but I think I'm gonna have to look at the side of the draw. If he's on the right side of the draw, maybe he's a first round leader for me. Which I almost got the first round leader at what was it? US Open. Who was I running with? I can't remember. Justin Rose until he made that bogey on 17.
Yeah, he was like 2 or 3 under and then kind of puked on himself the last couple holes to finish at like 1 under instead of 4 or whatever the lead was.
I think 4 under was the lead, and he was 3 under, and he had 180 yards in the middle of the fairway on a par 5, and he made a 6.
Yeah, not good.
It's like you got to make a birdie on a par, and it was like 80-1 or something like that. But so that one hurt. But yeah, I don't know. Excited for this week. Excited to. If you can't sleep, it's easy to turn on the TV and watch him out there.
And I just can't wait for like that 4 a.m. Like I just need a British accent announcing some golf. I just love the way the Scottish and British and Irish, whoever they have announcing, but like the Sky Sports team, just the way that's just so proper. Like it's just, they're not like trying to jazz you up, but just like, oh, it's a proper one down the fairway, world class shot there, like things like that. Like it's the best. It's the best. The Open Championship is the best, and I cannot wait to watch like 100 hours of golf over the next 4 days because I'm going to be just completely engulfed in it.
Local time, ready? So local time tee times there in St. Andrews, Scotland, from 6:35 every 11 minutes until 4:16 in the afternoon, there will be someone teeing it up.
Long days this time of year. That's insane.
Long days, first tee march, like every 11 minutes. And if like there's ever a hole, you could probably do like 8-minute splits on the first tee at St. Andrews because no one's hitting it over the creek. Yeah, everyone's kind of hitting like 4-iron off the tee.
Yep, chase it down, hit a wedge on, get going.
Yeah. So average time probably is like 10 minutes to play the hole. But I don't know. Best time of the year. Excited for a little Open Championship and quickly coming to the end of the PGA Tour. Right when you get back to America, there's really only a handful of tournaments left.
And FedEx Cup. There's probably like 3M, Detroit, maybe one other one, and then they'll probably have the first, like the Wyndham or whatever, right?
I think it's only those 3.
Yeah. Exciting, man. It comes and goes fast. I love the season, the way they do the majors every month now. It just rushes you right through the last few months of the season versus like front loading them, because they used to have one of them in like March, didn't they? It was in like, or May. May used to be the PGA. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, because we used to get the players used to be
in May.
Yeah, I don't.
So it would push the other stuff out later into the year or something like that.
Yeah, PGA used to be in August, so
yeah.
But yeah, no, excited for this week. Super. I mean, I think that the thing that's not talked about enough too is like the Open rotation is just so pure. Like
it's crazy that like with all, and I guess it's like you gotta, those have been there for so long, they've proven that they're the elite ones, but like it's crazy that like the PGA and the US Open's kind of starting to do it by having a lot of recurring ones, but like why don't we just have rotas for the PGA? And like, I mean, the US Open basically does, because Pinehurst is like every 5 years, it seems like now going forward. But I feel like that's such a good way of like, one, like adding context without having to do too much like preview work, right? You don't have to be on Golf Channel for 100 hours the week up to try and learn the golf course, that you haven't seen in 15 years, like the PGA this year. You do it every 3-4 years and you do that consistently, you're going to know it. Like I can think of like Carnousties like 18th hole, or, like you can think of those things. So I don't know, there's something there, because I agree. It's the courses are so good, and it's just so awesome to just come back year after year and just like remember, be like, oh, I remember when so-and-so made this putt from there. It's like what we get at Augusta every year, So it's good stuff.
Yep.
Can't wait.
Yep. Excited for this week. Yep. All right, Matthew. Good chatting with you. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.